Dr. Delores Barnes knows that many people suffer from great anxiety when it comes to taking tests. So she's written this great book called Mastering the Art of Test Taking. She wants you to become a test-taking guru. You'll meet Dr. Delores Barnes here today on Babbie's House. Babbie's House is coming to you right now.
Every day is filled with possibility. At Babbie's house, Babbie's house, everybody is family. Welcome to Babbie's house.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Babbie's House. I'm the host of Babbie's House, Babbie Mason, and thank you for joining me today. Dr. Delores Barnes is my guest here today on Babbie's House, and she knows that many people suffer from great anxiety when it comes to test taking. And you might think, well, maybe that doesn't include you, but maybe you have to take a test for a job, or maybe you're a college student and you have to take a college entrance exam, or maybe you were in high school, or you're thinking about going back to school. This information could be very vital to you. So I'll just encourage you to stick around for a great conversation with Dr. Delores Barnes here on Babbie's House. But I want to kick the show off with a song that I believe will be of great encouragement to you. I want you to know today that God loves you. He really does. He loves you just as much as he loves his very own son, Jesus. And John chapter 17 reminds us that Jesus prays for us, and he prays that you might know that God loves you just as much as he loves him.
Safe inside of your arms, no hurt can dare erase the touch of your embrace. This place where mercy flows, how beautiful to know you love. Yes, you love me. You heal my brokenness, and in your love I rest. You love me. Yes, you love me. My God, how you love me. When everything has failed and life has let me down, this brings me to my knees. I can stand on hallowed ground. Though I may make mistakes, my sins are all erased. I am overwhelmed by grace, and I can hear you say, you love me. You heal my brokenness, and in your love I rest. You love me.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and as you know, my passion is to help each and every one of you get the best sleep of your life. That's why I created my new Giza Dreams bed sheets. I started by using the world's best cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. It's ultra soft and breathable, but extremely durable. I guarantee you they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
I do not like my sheets. I love my Giza Dream sheets.
Call or go to MyPillow.com right now to take advantage of Mike's limited time offer. Use the promo code on the screen, and when you buy one set of Giza Dream Sheets, Mike will send you another set absolutely free. That's right, buy one set of Giza Dream Sheets and get another set absolutely free. Choose from a variety of colors in solid, stripes, and new flannel sheets. Order now.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
Welcome back to the show. I am happy to have today as a very special guest, Dr. Delores Barnes, and she is the author of Mastering the Art of Test Taking. And I don't know about you, but maybe this is personal for you. Maybe the thought of taking a test, an SAT test, a college entrance exam, a test for a job, maybe that strikes fear in you. I can attest to that. Now, I haven't been in school for a long time, but probably the thought of taking a test is probably the reason why I haven't gone back to school. So let's talk today with Dr. Delores Barnes here on Babbie's House. Welcome to the show, my friend. Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Well, tell me why you wrote the book, Mastering the Art of Test Taking.
I wrote it because I couldn't find a book out there that could help me at the time I needed help. And when I was in college, I nearly flunked out my first semester, and I realized that it was how I was studying and how I was taking the test. And once I realized that, I said, well, let me go to the bookstore and see if I can find a book that could help me with this. Only thing I found was a lot of psychology books about the mind, but nothing about how to take a test. So that's what made me want to write.
So this is personal for you.
Very, very personal.
Talk to us about your experience as a student.
Oh, it was interesting. I would go to the library. I would study for hours. Literally, I would study at the library for 8 or 9 hours a day and go and take the test and fail. And I said to myself, one day one of the people in the library walked by and they said, you should be an A student. And I smiled, but I didn't say yes or no because I knew I was failing most of my classes. And I thought to myself, I should be an A student. I'm in the library studying for hours and I'm failing my exams. And so I realized, like I was saying before, that I had to figure out how to do it.
So what you're saying is, you can study, you can be in the library, you can have your head in the books. And I know a lot of people, this is where they're walking, this is where they're living. They're studying, they have their head in the books, they're spending hours, trying to memorize facts and things like that, and they still fail.
Right.
So talk to us about advice that you have for people who struggle in this area.
My advice is to first evaluate where the problems are. Like, for me, I was studying long hours and doing just what you said, memorizing everything, when I realized that memorization was not going to work. because I'd get on the test and I'd forget 90% of the stuff that I thought that I knew, because for me, memorizing was actually learning it. I thought I was learning it when I was really memorizing it. So my advice is don't memorize. Learn the material, the books, what I learned from books. I used to hate reading them, but once I became a good test taker, I realized that the author has written the book for me to read. So I started really reading the book, and all of the graphics that they would have in it, the diagrams and charts and things like that, I actually started looking at those and understanding them. And once I could understand the charts and diagrams and stuff like that, I knew the material in the chapter. So I didn't have to keep rereading it or, keep going over it over and over again before I took the exam. And once I did that, believe it or not, instead of studying 8 or 9 hours, I studied 3 or 4 hours, and I get an A on the test.
Wow. So talk to us about the, what you call it, test anxiety.
Test anxiety. When it was time to take a test, even the word test would upset me.
I know, right?
I didn't want to hear it.
It strikes fear in me, and I'm not even in school.
I didn't care what kind of test it was. I didn't care. It just made me nervous. My stomach, when the teacher started talking about now it's time to prepare for the test, my stomach would do all kind of crazy stuff.
And you start breaking out in a sweat.
Oh, my heart would be pounding, and I was so nervous. And you know what I realized about test anxiety? It was actually a figment of my imagination. The anxiety was based on what I was thinking and nothing more. So once I controlled my thoughts, I was able to control my anxiety. And what I tell people is that you have to think positive when you're taking a test. You can't think negative, because the fear comes from the unknown. The reason we're so afraid is because we don't know what's going to be on the test. And we're afraid that something's going to be on there that we don't know. So we start getting nervous. So I was so nervous. I'd have all kind of anxiety. But I found a way to control it, and you have to have faith, you have to think positive, and you have to understand that you can do it. That you can do it, you can pass the test, and stop making the test bigger than you are, because that's what people would do. They'd make it bigger than them, and then, of course, you're going to be afraid of it, because you're like, oh, my God, it's going to defeat me.
That's good. I mentioned some of the people that might benefit or that might have the symptoms of test anxiety. Obvious people like students who are in high school and college, people who might have to study for their job. But maybe can you help us with some of the other people that might benefit from your book?
Yeah, the main thing is you have to be prepared. A lot of anxiety comes from lack of preparation. So you have to really be prepared for the test, know exactly what you're supposed to be studying on the test. When I would take notes in class, I would always date my notes. Always date them.
Okay.
Because
what
if the teacher, because if the teacher says we're going to have a test, and he always has an end date. He'll say that we're going to do the stuff from this section and that section, and I can look at my itinerary and see that section ended on a certain date. It prevents you from studying more information than you have to, or not studying enough information before you take the test. So I date all of my notes were always dated. But I didn't do that before I got the study techniques and the test-taking techniques.
Give us a study technique, because obviously there are techniques in the book.
Yes.
Give us a study technique that we might, let's say for math students, because you taught human anatomy and physiology at the college level. That just makes my head hurt just reading it. And so I can imagine that if you are a human anatomy and physiology student at the college level, you're going to need some tips and techniques on how to study. So give us one of those techniques. One
technique which I used all the time was when the teacher would mention something like human anatomy physiology, let's say mention the heart. And in that same session, they mentioned it again. Every time they mentioned the heart, I'd put a little asterisk by it. Every time they'd mentioned the lungs, I'd put, at the end of the day, if the heart was mentioned 5 times, I'd have 5 little marks. If the lungs were mentioned 3, I'd have 3 little marks. When it was time to study, I'd study everything that had the most marks by it first. So that way, if I ran out of time, my chances of having a test question from that information is a lot greater than from information that has either 1 mark or no marks by it. So that's how I would do it. I would do it in the book. I would write my notes down. I'd always, every time the teacher would go over it, I would always mention it. And if they mentioned it a lot, I really studied that information a lot because I knew that there was probably going to be a test question on it. But before that, I would study the information, some information for hours, and then it wouldn't be on the test at all, or maybe there'd be 1 question on it, and I might have spent 2 days trying to understand it. So that's an excellent technique to use.
Brilliant. That is brilliant. You have special advice for people who struggle with math. Now, that would be people like me, because when it comes to balancing my checkbook, I say, I can't be overdrawn. I still have checks left. So that's, you know, that, for people like me, I need real help. So what advice do you have for people who struggle with math?
Yeah, math has its own language, first of all. First and foremost, you have to understand the language of math first. And I'll give you an example. 2 plus 2 is 4, right?
Yes.
Well, 2 plus 2 is more than 4. It's actually a binomial, it's even numbers, it's the sum of 2 numbers.
Okay, you lost me at binomial.
Yeah,
I heard it before. I heard it.
2 numbers.
But I don't remember where I heard it.
And then it's an integer, it's a whole number, it's a real number. You see all of this stuff in 2 plus 2 is equal to 4? So in math, you have to understand the language of math. You have to understand what you're looking at. And a lot of people know how to solve the problems, but they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they're doing it, and that was me. I could solve 100 problems, and as soon as I got ready to take the test, the teacher would have 1 word. I didn't understand it. It'd blow the whole test. I'd fail.
Yeah.
So you have to understand the language of math in order to really understand math. I had a student that had a 47 average in math. He was in 10th grade, 47 average in math after his midterm. And his aunt asked me if I would tutor him, and I did. And after I tutored him a couple of sessions, he went from F's to A's and B's. He ended up getting a B in the class. But it's because he knew how to do it, but he didn't know what he was doing. So once I explained it to him, it was just like that, clockwork for him. But at first he was solving the problems, and then I said, well, what is that? Like I was telling you, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. He didn't know what it was. And I was like, well, that's the reason that when you get on the test, you're not doing well. And once he understood what everything was and the wording and all of that.
And the language.
The language of it, he's a college graduate now. Believe it or not, he has a degree in finance.
Wow.
You know, which is all math.
So I can imagine that there might be people who are older who are thinking about going back to school and maybe, or taking a test to, or thinking about maybe getting a degree in religion or studying the Bible. And, you know, I have actually thought about going to Bible school and maybe getting a degree in Bible studies or something. But really, it's the thought of taking the test that has kind of dissuaded me. What advice would you have for people like me who are older and a little afraid of that?
Most of the time, now when you get ready to go back to school, you have to take an assessment test. So most of the time you have to be prepared. That's what you want. You want to be prepared for that assessment test. There's a college assessment test or like a college entrance test that they give you, and what it does is it lets you know what level of math or English they're going to put you in. Well, if you don't do well on those assessment tests, you end up taking a bunch of remedial courses that you have to pay for, but they don't go toward your degree. So my advice would be to go to a bookstore and get a book. They have books out there for specifically for that, for assessment tests when you get ready to enter college. Study that. Make sure you get in college at a good level so that you don't have to spend a lot of time taking remedial courses and paying for them.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my big advice for people going back to school. Make sure you're prepared for that. And then once you get in, it's quite easy.
Yes. You say in your book called Mastering the Art of Test Taking that in chapter 11 you talk about putting old test questions to good use. What does that mean? Talk to us about that chapter.
Well, that means that if there are old tests floating around, get a copy of it and use it. Take it. What I would do with the old exams, which was not cheating or anything like that, sometimes the instructors would actually have the exams in the library, and you can go get the exam, make a copy of the old test. What it does is it teaches you the format that that the teacher is going to give on your test. So some teachers like true and false, some teachers like essays, so you get this important information which helps you to prepare for the test. So you can expect to see these type things from this particular instructor on the exam.
Is there a different approach to, say, answering true and false, or essay, or multiple choice?
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
True and false. True and false, now they've changed it to like all of the above or none of the above. You'll see a lot of that on these tests now. And all of that is over, I guess you could say all of the above and none of the above are like larger true-false questions, because what they used to say is that if they gave you a true-false question, it was more like you had a 50% chance of getting it right, a 50% chance of getting it wrong. Are we really testing your knowledge? So then they came up with this all of the above or none of the above. But the way to approach that is that if you choose the first, if you read the first question, treat the whole thing as a true and false. So when you read the first choice, if it's true, you put a T next to it. If you read the second choice and it's true, you put a T next to it, and you don't have to read the rest of them because the answer is going to be all of the above.
Yeah.
So if you see, so that's a strategy.
That is a
when you're
great
taking
strategy.
The test. So that's one pointer that I can give you on that one.
That's awesome. So overall, who would you say would be the person that would benefit best from this book?
Anyone taking the test, anyone that has to take a test. That's college, high school, middle school. If you have to take an exam, it has excellent pointers in there for everyone.
So the book is basic enough for a middle schooler to understand and thorough enough for a college student to grasp or to use.
Yes, and take the information and apply it. Yes.
Very good.
And it's a quick read.
You talk about that there are different approaches to test questions. I think we talked a little bit about that with the true and the false. But what about multiple choice or essay, when you have to spell something out and you have to actually use your words? Is there a special approach to essay questions?
Not really, as far as spelling the words out. What my problem would be on essay questions is that I didn't want to spell the word out because I thought I was misspelling the word. So what I tell people about essay questions is just write it out. Even if you're not spelling the words correctly, the teacher can get it. But if you don't write anything, then you've got a problem. And that for me, when I taught human anatomy and physiology, if I gave essay questions and the student would not answer it or even attempt to answer it, and I put a big 0 there, then I don't want them coming to me talking about their test, because to me it represents not trying at all. So at least try on the essay questions.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and find out how you can get your own copy of Mastering the Art of Test Taking by Dr. Delores Barnes. Stick around. After we come back, we'll talk more with Dr. Barnes right here on Babbie's House.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Just like you, I had problems sleeping. I tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. 15 years ago, I invented MyPillow. It took me 2 years to develop because I wanted to have everything you would ever want in a pillow. I made sure that you could adjust my patented fill so you could have the exact support you need as an individual regardless of your sleep position. I also wanted a pillow that would last, so I made MyPillow machine washable and dryable. I back MyPillow with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Not only that, I do all my own manufacturing in my home state of Minnesota.
I really like the fact that it was made in the USA. I think that USA products are a better quality product. I've tried a lot of other pillows and nothing's worked like MyPillow.
I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm going to pass the savings directly on to you. For a limited time, you get premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, and that's the lowest price in history.
I used to think that sheets were just sheets. I got the Giza Dream sheets. They are the most comfortable sheets I've ever had.
The Go Anywhere pillow is so easy to just roll up and take anywhere I want to go.
The My Pillow topper, for the first time, has enabled me to have a cool night's sleep. I'm able to go to bed and just get rest.
That's 3 inches of wonderful that's in the My Pillow mattress topper. It's just like a firm cloud.
When I got My Pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
My Pillow helps me get a good night's sleep so I can do my job in the morning.
Go to mypillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all My Pillow products. For example, you can get my premium My Pillows regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
Thanks for coming back to the show. I'm talking today with Dr. Delores Barnes, the author of Mastering the Art of Test Taking. And this is information really that is applicable to most of us who are students or who are working, applying for a job. It's really good, applicable information that middle school students as young as middle school or as old as college or older adults can use. How would we get our copy of Mastering the Art of Test Taking?
You can go to my website. It's www.testtakingguru.com, and you'll be able to take a look at the book, and I have a lot of other information on that site that's very helpful.
Very good. You know, there's a lot of praise for the book. I'll just read one. This really caught my attention because I think it was a teacher. I use the techniques outlined in her book to help students that have trouble in my class. So this will be a good tool for teachers to actually help students in their classes.
Yes.
So we appreciate you coming this way to Babbie's house, and thanks again for writing Mastering the Art of Test Taking by Dr. Delores Barnes. Thanks again for coming this way.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. And thank you for watching Babbie's house today. You know, here on Babbie's house, we'll talk to preachers and pastors and singers and writers, and then we'll talk to people like Dr. Delores Barnes, who can give you practical tools to help make your life better. Tools you can use. And so we're happy that she came by today. Listen, while you're online, Googling and searching for Dr. Delores Barnes' book, Mastering the Art of Test Taking, check out Babbie.com. There at Babbie.com, you'll see beautiful resources for great music and books like Embraced by God and I'm a Daughter of the Most High King, books that will encourage women in their faith, helping you to understand how much God loves you. Bible studies. One of my favorite books is Embraced by God. There's a Bible study called Embraced by God. There's music. The song that I sang today is in that project called Embrace. And so check it all out at Babbie.com. While you're there, click on the button on the website. You'll see a tab or a button that says Listen Live. It's a link to BabbieMasonRadio.com, or you can just go straight to the radio site at BabbieMasonRadio.com and listen to beautiful music and encouraging words around the clock. Well, thanks again for watching the show. Until the next time, may the Lord God bless you real good. Bye-bye for now.